Tuesday, April 7th at 6:30, the town hall to order. And we'll start with a roll call. Walter Abbott. Oh, wait a minute, I ought to turn on these things. Excuse me. I got to do these things. I really don't want to be on the air.
Push the red button down.
Yeah.
What's the turn green in here?
Look, he's got me green already. I'll start again. There's Affordable Housing Committee meeting on Tuesday, April 7th at 6:30 p.m. at the Mashpee Town Hall. The roll call, I'm Walter Abbott, Chairman.
Berkeley Johnson.
Alan Isbitz. Here.
Okay. We're just going to very quickly go through. I made a modification to the agenda, which I sent you out, which I'm not sure it got posted. I hope it did. But I had gotten a call from John, a message from John Mashpee that he'd like to talk to us some. So I snuck him into the agenda, and I'm going to let him go before the rest of this. There is a packet I've given you, which has the map, but it's in black and white, so it doesn't appear very good. The colored one is better. But part of after he talked to me, I went out to take a look to see what we had on the development he had done prior. It's, I think you know it as Main Street Village off of Route 130, right around the corner here, actually. And we do have some affordables already in there. Now, that said, I found out that one thing it did is force me to look for an update because our map is wrong. We're crediting ourselves with a couple of units which we're not entitled to. Remember, we had one foreclosure in there where the Cape Cod 5 Bank said
They wouldn't
honor it. We're going to go market rate with it, and they got the affordability removed. I'm not a lawyer. He's a lawyer, and I'm not sure he knows either. But I don't know how they got that stuff all out of there when it's supposed to be in the deed for life. Okay, so I don't know how they got it removed.
But you get it out of there on a foreclosure because you only have a limited time to do it, or it's free. I mean, the bank can't be held forever.
Well, they could have sold it at an affordable rate.
No.
Well, let me blow that theory right away because the second one we lost, a guy moved into it and said, when I want to sell it, I don't want to have to sell it at affordable. So he went to the courts and had it removed from his. So there's another one that has had the affordability taken off of it. So instead of 6 units in there, I think we have 4 now. I think is what the number is. I'm not sure it's on the. I have printed out the record from the assessor's office on each one of these, and it says in there whether. I think 2 of them are classified as affordable, 2 of them are as moderate rate affordable. I hadn't seen that before, but that's.
Which square here is the one we're talking about?
It's up near the top here. No. It's got to be
Or something like that.
Meeting House.
Well, maybe.
There's actually, here it is up here. These two pop up way to the left, just below the town seal.
Center Street?
Yeah, Center Street and Schooner Avenue has one. Number 15 and one other one, 20, one of the 26s, I think. 15 for sure, I know is gone. And one other one there is gone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that was 7. We lost 2. So we got 5 left in there. And there's you can see on the records from the assessor's office, it'll say under the comment section, matter of fact, the very first one is for 15, and you'll say the affordable housing rider removed after bankruptcy. That was the bankruptcy one.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Where is that?
In the
I
right
see.
in there. So they had that removed. Then we had that's affordable. Then when you get down to 26B, that's a moderate. 26D is a moderate.
That still qualifies as affordable, though, doesn't it?
Probably.
Yeah. 37 was moderate. So that's the combination. So we've lost one for sure, and I understood the second one, but I don't know if that's true. But I,
And the one that went to court,
yeah,
who built that?
John McShane.
So I
McShane
don't,
Construction were the builders of that.
Oh, I
And I had been out to the land court and looked at the stuff, and it looked to me that it called out the deed writers to have the lifetime on it. So I was scratching my head. This was back when the bank was giving us a hard time about it, and I don't know how they got out of it,
Who's
but they did.
who's the
It may
owner?
be what he's saying about the foreclosure.
who's the owner?
No?
No, before,
Person?
the seller.
I forget the owner's name.
So I don't see how this deed restriction could be removed,
That was my opinion too, I couldn't.
unless,
Were you with us when we went through? You weren't with us, I
I
don't
don't
think, when
think
we went
so.
through it.
I don't know.
You were there, huh?
I
Yeah, at
think
one time,
so.
we thought that maybe the town would take it, and we'd sell it as an affordable unit, or rent it out or something. But we decided as a town, we didn't want to get into the business of owning property and renting like that on a piecemeal basis.
this is the one that went into
The simple
foreclosure, or
answer
the
is-
one
Went
that?
into foreclosure.
Okay, the one that went to court,
Simple answer
No.
is the mortgagee is not
I recall that.
part of the restriction.
According to the language that I received from the bank at the time, because it went into a foreclosure, it was removed from the affordable housing.
Yeah, the bank is not bound by
Yeah,
a
that's on-
restriction that
I understand that.
voluntary, right?
but I'm talking about the one that supposedly went to court, the other one.
And I don't know what that
I
one
don't
was. There's
understand
something in
how-
here said the owner, somewhere in there, it mentioned that the owner took this to court and had the affordability removed from it.
I don't know, the original.
I don't know which one that
original
was.
Habitat deeds were for 20 years, and after 20 years, it went back to.
Was that a
afford-
Habitat
to-
house?
Yeah, we
So
got
unless,
rid of that pretty quickly, but we lost a property in Mashpee because the first one built here was a 20-year mortgage for affordability, and after that, the owner was free to do what he wanted to do.
oh, it was past the 20-year period?
Yeah,
Ah,
but now
So-
they've changed that, and with DHCD approval, it becomes forever, but.
right. So it
Some of
depends
the
on the
very
specific.
earliest ones didn't have that restriction.
Maybe he was past the affordability period and wanted the
Yeah.
court action to make sure it was clear for the purposes of selling.
These aren't, when was those built, John? You don't know. Well, it says in here.
When he was a child.
Well, I don't think you can,
2006,
I don't believe you can unilaterally remove a court
I've
restriction.
done
I mean,
hundreds of these units.
a deed
This is
restriction,
the first time I ever heard of that.
yeah.
It was my understanding that they had a fail-safe deed writer,
Yeah,
not to allow that to happen.
yeah. And I read that at the land court.
That's the last I've heard.
But if it was time limited and they were past the
No,
time,
there was no time.
no,
I don't think
okay,
there was
then I
any
don't
time.
understand how
I
they
don't-
could have done it.
I didn't
unless,
understand either.
The
It was
seller-
2006 that those units were selling.
Unless the seller that was the creator of the restriction somehow either cooperated with the removal, which is unlikely, I would think,
Or the judge was
Or-
the kid's uncle.
or the seller failed to show up to court to make its case. I don't know. So it's a little unusual.
Yeah, it's who gets to
I'd like to know the
enforce-
background on that
Who
one.
gets to enforce.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find some
the
more information on it.
restriction.
But I think just
That's another
basically,
question.
we can say that there were, was it 7 units in there out of the total were in an affordable category. And
I forget, there were, 6?
one over on Schooner.
6 at 80% of median income and
Yeah.
2 at 120%,
Yeah,
which was not a state mandate, but something at that time we had been working with the towns. Try to find a way to.
and the only reason I bring it,
Out through the cracks, teachers, the firemen, who made too much money for the.
Yeah.
for the
the only reason I bring it up is I looked at it, I know we have to take number 15 and remove it, because it's not in our affordable category and shouldn't be on our map as affordable, and remove it from our account, so we're at 276 instead of 277. But, that's okay, go with that. But meanwhile, while I got into it, is because John got my name somehow, and sent me an email and said, he'd like to talk to me about getting back in that area. He had originally 8, is it, John? I'll let you talk to it.
In that
8 more.
package, There's,
Yeah, here's a,
there's a subdivision plan.
This one?
Mike, you want to take it?
Give me one.
Oh, you got one, okay.
And that comes in. That comes in here. This is that intersection right there.
Okay.
Now, this was approved, and
Oh, she's here.
Excuse me for my tardiness, fellas.
Okay,
Apologize.
Of course.
that's good. Later, we'll go back to minutes and get some approved. We needed you to do that.
Okay,
We're just talking about, just to bring you up to date.
sure.
John McShane from McShane Construction had built stuff over, you may even know it, over here on Route 130, there's Main Street Village, he's built those in there. And he's been away for a while, he wants to come back and wants to start some things going on putting 8 more units in there. So he's just starting to talk to us about it.
Sure. I'm Marie. Thank you.
the project was approved, had a special permit 40B by the Board of Appeals. We started the project. We got the road about halfway done, and the bank refused to go any further with that. And that was at the time when the banks decided, you know, shutting those things down. So we got an extension on it, I think we got a 3-year extension on it, and I think that's all that was allowed under the bylaws. So now it's our understanding that we have to reapply for a new permit, start the process all over. And the first step would be coming to you people. We're looking for your support, your input in regards to that. We don't have any specific plans to change it. It was 8 single-family detached units, capes, salt boxes, and ranches, similar to the ones that are existing on Center Street. But we're willing to listen to any types of new ideas that might have come up. Somebody contacted me recently, there was a group trying to put some housing together for veterans, of which I am, so I have been pursuing that. Some disabled people, disabled veterans, and the planning director, his first comment was, we need more rentals. And I said, well, the only time I did rentals was with Bob Murray from the Falmouth Housing Association, Corporation, and he always took care of that end of it in terms of the financing and so forth. We did the construction, so I haven't done it myself, you know, the rental subsidies and how to make that work. But certainly if anybody would want to collaborate on that, we can get it done before my next retirement.
Can I ask a couple questions? These are, the plan that was originally approved was 8 units,
Yes,
and how many of them were affordable?
so,
2, okay, so 25%.
yeah,
Is it 40B comprehensive permit?
yes.
And you got a full, but you haven't started any of it, just, the road has been partially built?
Yes.
And that's,
Approximately 50%. It's all cut in all the way to the back.
Is this the one that had the problems originally in the things with the fire department? And now you put this turn in here,
No, that was part of the original plan.
part of the original one? This is Schooner here, which is this
Yeah,
road
I
right
think
here.
there was some issues in here, maybe. But I don't, yeah, this intersection is right there. So this here, this goes up there.
Yeah. You said Sparrow in here, is this not Center? This is Sparrow?
This is Sparrow. This is the road that we've got half built. It's all excavated. There's no asphalt on it. There's some drainage in them. This,
I'm having trouble seeing off here
yeah.
where it's at, because this is Schooner.
Where is this in town, being a neophyte in town?
Go around the corner here, heading down Route 130, heading towards 28.
Yeah.
Right around the corner, right-hand side, you'll see a sign saying,
Town hall is
Oh,
right.
right-hand side,
on the right-hand
the
side.
one with the houses around it.
Yes,
The town hall.
I got you,
that's
okay.
where Evans lives.
It backs up to the, right out back here.
Okay.
Okay.
The town hall is right in there. Are you located yet, or is it still confusing?
Seems like our old friends Horsley Witten Company, our group, worked on it.
Is Sparrow the same thing as Center Street here?
Well,
No.
he's saying no.
Guess I'm not following
This
you.
is Center Street out here,
Oh, I see.
okay? And Sparrow comes in right here.
Ah, okay, I get it.
This is called Schooner.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, there's a sign up on there that says Schooner services these duplexes here.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you continue up here, you'll be coming up this way.
Okay, Schooner comes right in here, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. So, are you getting any encouragement to continue with your original plan, or? I understand the concern for rental, which I believe is really where there is a great need and a growing need. On the other hand, you already got your approval once, and having been in similar shoes, I appreciate that once you invested your time and money in one plan and got it approved, I think the process ought to support that. And not add additional obstacles onto the path. That's my own
Well,
personal
there's
opinion.
nothing really wrong with home ownership.
There's nothing wrong with that
Okay.
either. Right. There's also a need for that.
Yeah.
So my inclination would be to be supportive of this. If we've already
Yeah.
approved it once.
And I think what you normally do is you're gonna put together a packet and stuff, and then this committee would actually sign it, saying we endorse that stuff. We'd give you a letter to that effect, if that's what the committee so desires to do, you know? So that when you submit it, it has some help.
Where do you go from here, John? I mean, what's your next step?
I go back to the bank.
Well, no, but you gotta get
No,
the
I
plan
think that-
approved again, right? It has to go through planning board, or,
I
Well,
believe,
don't take one.
I believe your input has to go to the selectmen, I believe. And then we need the selectmen support. And then we file for the site approval letter with the state,
Yeah, that's the one,
and then we go to the Board of Appeals.
yeah.
I think the site approval, your process makes sense to me. I don't have any problem with that, but I think going to the state for site approval can happen anytime, because the state's just going to turn around, they're going to send a notification that they received your request for site approval to the Board of Selectmen, and you'll get it, and then you'll know that it's up for consideration. It'd be nice, obviously, if, when you do get that notification, we've already given you our position on it, so you have that. So I think your plan makes a lot of sense, or your approach. I take it that's what you think is right, too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think you need to put your paperwork together and just kick it off and get it started. Get to your bank, like you said, right?
Doesn't matter making copies, this is basically it.
Yeah.
I know it's our good friend Horsley Witten that did all this drawing.
He's always got his finger in there, huh?
Well,
Is that facetiously?
No,
So-
They did an assessment for us on some other property.
we have some
Rental,
feasibility studies we do.
rental piece.
For rentals.
Do you have anything that sort of spells out your objectives for the 2 affordable units? Income levels, process for selection, whatever?
Yeah, that's boilerplate stuff that I gotta put together again.
Okay,
And I'll update it, it's probably changed a little bit.
all right, so,
Well, I think we'll probably discuss this some ourselves and probably take a vote about supporting it, but I feel we probably will. We're not gonna turn down a couple more affordable units, you know? So we probably would support that. I don't see why not. Just whatever you need. If it's a letter or something, we'll put on a letterhead here and say we endorse it or whatever you want, you know?
well, I'd like to see his package, with a plan for the
Yes.
affordable units.
Sure.
So if you can come back next month with some details,
Sure.
then we can act on it.
How's that sound,
And
John?
our letter would be
Sounds good.
presumably to the selectmen with a copy to John. Yeah. Isn't it?
Right.
That's who we should report to. it
Right.
seems to me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, John?
Good idea, let's do that.
All right.
Okay.
We're aboard with you. John, is there any reason that neighbors up there that exist now would have a problem with this?
They didn't before. We've been through this once already.
One person, I happened talking Sunday, this person lives up there, and I mentioned to him that we were looking at going ahead with something there. And she said, well, he couldn't get it in last time because the fire department wouldn't let him go into there. That's why I asked about that turn stuff. As long as you got the turn ratio for the trucks up in there, it should be all right.
Yeah, it was approved.
Okay.
And that can change, territorial anxiety.
Oh, sure. They're happy where they're at, they don't want anything to change
I
it.
mean, we've done a pretty good job on our projects, and most people.
My old town has moved beyond NIMBY, which is not in my backyard, to Banana. They have Banana now. It's built absolutely nothing anywhere near anyone, yeah. John, you've got a Sea Robin Ranch and a Harwich, sir. But is that what you're...
In typical-
You got it, yeah, but is would the affordable units be different in outside look?
No, they're not supposed to be.
They're not supposed to.
Not on
You know, I,
40B, right.
a good test is to go through the existing one and see if you can pick out the affordable.
Well, I know, two-car garage is really pretty exciting for affordable.
I really want to attempt to something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, John.
Now, we're thinking maybe we should offer these as, with the garage is optional. This is still a very financially tight situation. That may be about the only change. But the rest of the designs are very similar. We're trying to do more handicap accessible, stay in your place designs now for the older population. With wider hallways and walk-in tubs, handicap. bathrooms and kitchens,
That does remind me, though,
ramps,
If you-
zero entry.
if you're thinking of accessible units, and particularly an appeal to veterans, having all 8 be visitable so that
Yeah.
they can visit their
They can
neighbors.
adapt to it, yeah.
Right, you understand that?
Yeah, we do that now,
Okay, that'd be great.
yeah.
So appreciate your
Yeah.
coming, and look
Okay.
look forward to your presentation.
Thanks.
Good.
Half hour.
Come to our house for a meeting. Come to our house for a meeting, you can't get in, so vote, yeah, that's right.
I'm going to bounce back while, since Marie's now here, I'm going to go to the minutes from the October 7th meeting. You may not have any copies of it, but I don't think there was any corrections for it that I know of. If there is, let us know now. If not, I'll accept a motion to accept those minutes from either Alan or Marie, one of the two.
I was absent, so I want to,
No, you were at that
October
one.
7th. Yeah, right.
October, this goes back to October 7th.
oh, I don't have those ones, I'm
No,
sorry.
you probably,
Okay,
You-
that was.
I'll make a motion
All
to
right.
approve those
You'll
minutes.
you'll second it?
I'll second it.
All in favor? So done. We were rid of October 2nd, 7th. Got rid of that one.
What's the next one?
The next one is February.
Oh, I only have one here.
Jan will
Yes, it
tell us.
was. February 3rd meeting, and that's Berkeley, Marie, and myself there also.
Okay, I'll move acceptance of those.
Okay, Marie, would you like to second that?
Sure, I will second
Okay,
it.
all in favor? Aye. We
Okay.
have all of our minutes accepted.
March 3rd, you want to do March 3rd?
We did, didn't
No, that was February 3rd, you did.
we? Didn't we do March 3rd?
I don't think we did, because John was here and we postponed it until we got to this point. So it's you and Alan,
need-
you and Alan and I.
Yeah. So, one of you guys make a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve those.
You second it?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. So done.
Okay, okay.
That gets rid of those.
All right.
I think I'll let you make a statement about this time with the thing you communicated to me about the housing production plan and the status of where we're at with that for the other members.
Okay. You asked me at the last meeting to see what I could find out about the Affordable Housing Production Plan and why it was not approved by DHCD, and whether it was even submitted. So I did talk to a person by the name of Phil DiMartino, who's in charge of reviewing the Affordable Housing Production Plans at DHCD. We had a fairly long conversation, and he's been there in that position since 2003, so not dealing with anybody who's not knowledgeable over the period, and he had absolutely no recollection of ever receiving the plan. He sort of looked through his computer files while I was talking to him and found no record of a submission. So, on the other hand, he had just received, by a letter dated March 20th, the Affordable Housing Production Plan that we completed and got approved by the Board of Selectmen in August of 2012. So it's only taken, what, 2 years and
But who's counting?
8 months or so?
It's there now, is it there?
It's there now.
Good.
So I was impressed with Phil. He was not didn't appear to be giving us a hard time. He was receptive of the plan. He said their goal was to get to an approvable plan working with us. So I took it that we had some support and cooperation from him, and that he did say there were changes in the format and content, some changes, I take it not a lot, but some changes in the Affordable Housing Production Plan guidelines at DHCD, so that we would probably get some comments back that say basically incorporate the new guidelines. My impression is that was not going to be difficult to do. We just had to do them. And he directed me to the part of their DHCD website where they have all the guidelines and everything. I actually ran a copy of the guidelines.
Yeah, I had a copy back when we first started.
This one was,
The old one.
this is updated to December 2014. So
Okay.
I can make, actually, I can scan this in and
There's
send
no
it.
Send it out,
explanation
sure.
for why we hadn't heard from him since 2012 when it was due.
I did make copies of the transmittal for, of the housing production plan.
Well, you know how Tom Fadula, Tom Fadula really has the responsibility of producing that document.
But
And
it's
for-
due at a certain time, and this guy apparently doesn't have any
I know.
record of whether people file them or
And,
not.
and Tom did take it to selectmen, the selectmen did sign off on it and everything, but somebody, and I don't know who had the responsibility, everybody claims he's not responsible, to send it into these people, all right? So it was all, everything was completed and all fine, everything was just never got sent in. And actually, my assumption for a long time now was that it had been sent in and we were certified. And I didn't find this out until the Habitat meeting came up.
And that was almost everybody's assumption.
Yes.
I know, the guy who requires it to be filed apparently didn't take any action when it wasn't filed on time. I mean, what's he do up there?
Who?
The guy who's supposed to be, this friend of yours.
No, he's not required to get that. You're required to submit it to him.
Well, I know.
He has no requirement to come out and get it.
Well, it's a state regulation.
No.
All right, I'll
I-
back off. He's not doing his job is what I'm trying to get at.
I think he was happy to receive our plan.
Yeah.
And,
There are very few towns that actually have plans that are certified.
Right.
Been accepted and certified. You can count on probably one hand, maybe two hands. To count the number of towns in the
Whose fault
state.
is that? If
Under-
it's a state
under-
regulation, whose fault is that?
Under the 40B process, the incentive is really with the cities and towns to submit an
Get it.
approvable plan.
Yeah.
And the consequences of not having an approved plan could be dramatically adverse to local interests, given that a developer could come in, and if they didn't get their way with the zoning board of appeal, they can appeal to the housing board, and the housing board is generally inclined to override local zoning if there's no plan in place. So that's a pretty substantial incentive
Yeah.
Yeah.
to get your plan in place and to try your best, good faith efforts, best efforts to live up to that plan.
So that's the good news it's in. Hopefully, we'll get this back and maybe some, the only other thing is we have to look, there is a 5-year time frame after you get your plan, and I don't know whether it's submitted or approved or what, or we've done it or what, that you are supposed to do an update to it and submit the update to it.
Right.
Now, is the date, our start date 2012, or is it
Our,
2015?
no, he did say, first of all, he confirmed that our approved plan, the one that we did submit, expired, the 5 years expired in 2010. So we have not had an approved plan for 5 years
Yes.
now. But he will take the 2012 plan, and assuming with some hopefully minor changes, we get it approved this year, it will be good for 5 years till 2020. Okay?
Okay, that was my question. I
That's
didn't
the
know
good
that.
news, yes.
All right.
Yeah.
He's going to take that as a fresh submission. He's literally ignoring the date. Since this was conveyed by the chair of the Board of Selectmen, he has no reason to believe this is not a current statement of the local town's will, right? So we're getting a fresh start here
Okay,
with a little bit of a head start, I think, because it's done and it's approved, and
Yeah.
we didn't have to do a lot of extra work to get it in. So I think now we have to really roll up our sleeves and try to get it into approvable shape, which I hope doesn't mean much of a change.
okay. That sounds okay.
Now, he said he would, I think under the guidelines, they have 1 month to respond to us, and if they don't respond within 90 days, it's automatically approved, but I think it's highly unlikely.
Who's gonna do something to get it in, submitted?
To submit what?
We've gotta send it to them.
No, they've received it.
They've got it.
That's
I
what
thought
that.
you said it had to be amended to some extent.
Oh, when he's going to review it.
Yeah,
I said they have 30 days to do their review,
I'm sorry. I
And,
understood that he had some things he wanted.
but he was inclined to expedite that as much as he could, and he thought he could have it back to us in about 2 weeks. So by the next meeting, we should have it back, and we'll see what shape it's in.
Yeah, we'll tackle it from there. Should be relatively simple. I would think.
So I think we move on and
Yeah. Well, that's good news.
put the past behind us.
We got ourselves back on track.
Yes, we seem to be back on track.
Okay, staying under old business, town meeting articles. And probably Mike's gonna be able to help us out of that more than anything, although we had some stuff at the men's club meeting today, we heard about some of it, I guess. I think on the warrant is both lots by Habitat is on there, right? The money that they're supposed to get, the 35,000 for each one, I believe. So that's gonna be on the town, at the town meeting in May, to give them that 35,000 on each house, okay? I understand the permits have already been pulled for those two. They've already got their permits. Got them yesterday, so hot off the press.
Well, they tend to do that pretty quickly, but
Yeah.
it's down the line for actual digging in the ground. They've got a pretty full, Habitat has a full ledger for 2015, so it'll be next spring before they actually start on these two.
I'm going to cover under this town meeting warrant also, because we were actually hoping to have our RFP or something out there for that, and we know that wasn't going to make it. We got that information early on. But we had quite a discussion, and I had a task to go out and check what this 85 bedrooms, how they got that number. And it didn't come from Tom Fadula. He said no. He had not seen the draft RFP at all. No input to it, hadn't seen it, nothing. So that's bad news. Let's
I
go
would
that
think
way.
we'd want Tom's view of things.
Yeah. Well, it didn't go through him, all right? There is a thing on the number of bedrooms that can be allocated on the land. It's at every 10,000 square feet, you can have one bedroom. So, and it's not just the developed land, like I think the number is like 7 acres in there, but there's really 16 acres in there. So even though the other 16 is not going to be developed, you can use that to create some more aggregate, to increase the number of bedrooms that you can have in there. Now, maybe the total between the two parcels over Old Barnstable and Old Falmouth, Falmouth Road, maybe that would add up to 85. I don't know. And I don't know where that number came from.
Well,
So that evidently came out of the town manager's office, that RFP. And
Was this a topic of discussion at the Board of Selectmen meeting?
Not the number of units. I know that we had gone forward with the RFP, trying to make sure that we had, the ability to try to build something on both lots. And I know there was a question of the number of bedrooms that could be accommodated by combining the two, but that's a number that I didn't know either.
Well, to me, I think it's unnecessarily limiting, unless we get something that says this is inherent in limitation in the zoning ordinance. But I would think either Tom would be a party to that calculation, or Horsley Witten, or somebody with some technical knowledge about how to make that calculation.
But Alice should be aware of it,
Yeah.
I think.
So that's
I met with
the
him yesterday, and
That's
he
the concern
has
I
no
have,
knowledge.
is that, given our shortage of housing and our desire to make progress on our affordable housing production plan, that we not introduce unnecessary limits or arbitrary limits in the RFP, and see what the developers that come forward as a result of the RFP are interested and feel they're capable of developing.
Yeah, and I told, that was part of what you wanted me to ask with Tom, and I did bring that up, and he agrees with you, that it would be better not to specify the number to whoever's going to respond to the RFP. Let them tell us how many units, either units or bedrooms, whatever, however they're going to specify it,
It's interesting.
can be developed on each one of those parcels. And then we can decide whether we like that number, we don't like that number, we want less or whatever,
It's interesting to me, and I don't know the answer, but almost every town Habitat goes into where the land is there, they are then told specifically how many bedrooms they can build, rather than how many units they can build. So there must be something tucked away in some strange regulation. Somebody could find out
I
about
can
it.
appreciate that there may be an environmental limitation here that we have to acknowledge, but if it doesn't come to the attention of Tom Fadala, then to me, the process leaves something to be desired here, because we're not getting a full.
I'm just saying, this comes up in applications, Orleans, Chatham, Wellfleet, all of those towns, and the approval, the initial approval is how many bedrooms. And I don't know that I understand it at all, but what I'll do is I'll ask somebody at Habitat, my next meeting over there,
well, that's what
where
this
the
is-
devil this comes. Why don't they talk about units rather than bedrooms?
Given
What Tom is saying, there is a limitation.
Well, it's one
Every
bedroom for
10,000
every
square
10,
feet,
yeah,
you
but
can
it's-
have one bedroom.
And some places, it's one every 20,000 square feet or something. I mean, there are different zones.
But what's the
Depends.
nature?
Yes, in resident, you're
Yeah.
right, residential zone.
What's the nature of the limitation is what I would be concerned about. Is it something that it's inherent in the environmental aspects of the,
Wastewater treatment is a main consideration.
or is it just a zoning ordinance limitation?
But there's other rules and regulations to it, which were rather enormous, and Tom knows about these. Like taking that on Old Falmouth Road, we're only looking at the front piece of that land. That back piece, we weren't going to propose that in here. There's a stream through it and some other things, and we were going to offer that as an offset, okay, to the front piece we're doing.
Right.
But in offering that, you can include that 10,000, every 10,000 foot that's in there, to add a bedroom to what you're putting up in the front side. So there are rules and regulations of how they calculate out how many you can. Now, the feasibility study should come forward with that.
Well, that's what I was going to say. First of all, we have the feasibility study coming. We already have the feasibility study on 209 Barnstable Road.
Yes.
Before we go jumping to any conclusions about limitations, we should see the feasibility study on 950 Falmouth. And
Yeah.
and I'd sort of like to see a presentation of that limitation and some of the RFP factors that were included in the RFP at one of our meetings by whoever is responsible for making those, that calculation, so that we can understand it and talk about it before it becomes
I think
an issue.
much better than putting in the RFP how many bedrooms there are going to be.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
I think if we're going out to have the feasibility study done, which I assume that's coming up, I hope we have a meeting like we did on the last one, and we get to talk with them some and make some comments. I think we should bring this up to them. If we take the old Barnstable Road one and we apply this 10,000 square feet for each bedroom, then their plan on the feasibility study was giving us more bedrooms than was allowed. It's less than 4 acres over there, so that's 16.
And we know that Horsley Witten said that
24. Still up to 30, as a matter of fact, they said.
that 24 was a reasonable number.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sort of an average.
Yeah, yeah. So right now, if I was sitting down with them again, I'd say, how'd you get that 24? Is that in violation of?
I'm sure it isn't. I'm sure he had reason to believe that was a valid number.
Oh, I hope so.
That's why I
hope so.
have concerns about this limitation.
Yeah.
And if that
Why
is
put the limit in if we don't have to? That's
right.
Yes,
the
we
basic.
shouldn't do that, yeah. But I think we have to know if there is a limitation of what we can do.
Right.
And I think the feasibility study should tell us that. Okay? So that covered that part of what I was supposed to do with explaining to him how we felt about the RFP and stuff. And the feasibility study, Mike, you don't have any idea where that's standing right now?
No, I'll find out, but I don't know where it is right now.
Yeah, I don't either. Okay. The only other thing I'd like to bring up is in association with some of this we're talking right now, and I'm just, it actually came out of Mike's mouth today about this. He spilled the beans. They're back to looking on pieces of land, whether the town wants to, remember how they wanted to sell some? They've gone through this cycle of trying to sell and they've been defeated at town meeting all the time. Now they want to go back and do some more things. There's parcels they want to move. They want to put them in categories. Some go to conservation, some can be used, some can be sold, whatever, you know. I guess, isn't that right? You want to put them in some categories and that kind of stuff.
Some are available for housing.
There's been, as you know, over the last
Yeah.
several years, there was some efforts to try to sell some land. We initially had like 15 parcels one year, and then I think we actually sold a commercial piece. And it became kind of a fragmented approach, which made some people feel good and other people feel not so good.
Yeah.
So, and understanding, it's understanding that if you see just trying to sell land, then you don't know what the town's position is on conservation. And if it's just on conservation, you don't know what the town's position is on parks perhaps, or recreation. So we met, and it's a work in progress. We said, let's look at all the land that presently exists that has yet to be officially designated something on a permanent basis. Land that we get from tax foreclosure sits in a conservation type of a mode until such time as a decision is made as to whether there's anything that can be done with the land. So we tried to bucket into 5 or 6 categories. The big one, of course, is conservation, and that represents probably the largest number of parcels. And then there's a bucket called like parks and or recreation or access, certain pieces of property that are probably not buildable, probably not even foreseeable for a 40B, and might be access points for water or something along that line, or benches or chairs or parking lots. You know, again, it's not a guarantee that that's what it's going to be used for. Then there are certain pieces of property that specifically, if you look at them closely, you'd say, boy, that makes sense to maybe put a house there. It might make sense. So we're trying to categorize it into different buckets. Then once we're complete with that overview, then we would open it up to public meetings, show what we're looking at, and have people come in and really see, everybody really see what we're looking at. Because otherwise, before it was kind of narrow in its perspective. It was going in one direction or another direction. This way we're saying, this is all of our land. This is what we think makes sense. You tell us what you think, and then we'll go forward. So that's kind of
I think the key part there is that when they get through with all this work they're doing, they are going to have public meetings, which would be to our advantage to go to this and see if there are any parcels in there we think that might be good for habitat. We don't want them to get away into conservation. Once they go into conservation, forget about it, it's gone.
Right.
If you put them into habitat, they're going to become on the tax rolls. We're going to get some money from them, even though the lot's undersized. So
a lot of it was pieces of property when a development was built. You know, they situated everything, and next thing you have like a little corridor that didn't fit in any one of the structures. And by the time you're done with the development and getting everything approved, it's there. And a lot of these small little developments didn't want to maintain the land. They don't want to own the land. They don't want to pay for maintenance of the land. And so a lot of it just sits there, and it's more likely to be the best thing for conservation, because it's really not, you wouldn't want to try to force something. So I think we're giving it a good look, everybody.
There was a thing called the Land Group or something that I was invited to, and it developed those 2 lots for habitat.
Right.
I'm not trying to worm my way onto this group, but who is doing this? This is internal at the moment.
Yes.
That's okay. But, I mean, at that meeting, I remember very clearly that Joyce said to Tom Fudala, we want to have your recommendation about all of these, a thing of all the parcels. There are all kinds of parcels. So that's what's going forward.
Yeah, several hundred. Tom participated, and he has not only the history and the maps and the locations. So, I mean, it's amazing the number of parcels that do exist. And what's really amazing is the number of parcels that do exist that really should have probably been acted on before. they abut to conservation land, or they're surrounded by conservation land,
And
and they
it-
sit there,
yeah.
and, you know,
In
so
a-
we should take some action and do the right thing, and that's,
Yeah.
we'll let the,
Well,
the public will see it, and, I think it'll be a pretty good picture when it's all said and done.
in a declaration against interest, because I am on the land committee for Habitat, there are 2 lots off Quiniquisette in what is part of Willow Bend, basically, at the back, that Habitat says we're not going to fight for them because the neighbors don't want Habitat houses in those 2 lots, which is too bad. Actually, there's enough on one lot for 2 houses and one across the road. I've forgotten the name of the road. But it would be tough. The real reason is that whoever went in on a Habitat income would not be compatible with the neighbors of houses that are all over $600,000 or $700,000 and or a
We're
million.
trying to look at it in a, not in a vacuum.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
in just a clear picture. There are some pieces of property that would be, could be used for like a pump station, should we go into a sewer situation. So they
Let's-
could be designated for that now, but ultimately used for something else if
Right.
we don't go in that
Well, let's
direction.
put them in next to those neighbors in Willow Bend, yeah.
So,
When I first started here, that's what we did, though. We
Right.
took that list
right.
that Tom had of those,
Yeah,
I don't know how many.
you've been through it,
We-
3 or 4 pages of
Yeah, or at least, more than that.
listings, yeah.
And then we pulled out, that's when we got about the 10 or 10 to a dozen lots that we thought we could do some developing on, you know, some kind of affordable housing developing on it. And that's how we got started with some of this, and then broke down to some of our favorites, and some were a little better situated. But we had a list, big list of land
Well,
stuff.
it's good it's being done. I mean, it's really good it's being done.
So,
Well, we intend to make it a very thorough review, but even when you look at it and say, we think this is a suitable use for it, it may not be the right use for it. So we'll have to walk through the whole process.
so I had a couple questions. One of them was whether we would get a chance to comment on it. I guess that's been answered, so I appreciate that.
What?
I say, one of my questions was whether the committee would have a chance to comment on these buckets that you're putting together.
Timing?
Selection.
When?
Selection.
So, no, whether we would have a chance at all to comment on the buckets.
You're gonna have open hearings, though.
Yeah,
Oh, sure.
but given that you're going to have hearings, then I think that, I appreciate that we will have an opportunity to give our input. The other is, you wouldn't happen to have as one of the buckets affordable housing, would you?
Yeah.
do?
Yes, he does.
So you are going to make a selection of parcels that, in your view, might be developable for affordable housing? That's great. Okay.
Yeah, we haven't finished everything, so it's kind of preliminary, but the conservation is by far the largest bucket. And we have the water treatment plant kind of a bucket. We have affordable housing bucket. We have sort of a selectmen reserve bucket. We're not sure what it represents. It could be, because we're looking at places for people to access water and cats, and so that could be something along that line. So we have 5 or 6 buckets, and they're just buckets we're generally using as places to put it at this point in time. And like I said, once we open it up for public meetings and stuff, there'll be people who will say, well, that should be this and that should be that. So there'll be a lot of feedback on it, and the buckets could change too. I mean,
Yeah. Is one of those buckets ones that you'd sell, that
Yeah.
could be developed?
Yeah.
Okay. That's where we had the problem last time.
because that's all we have to talk about.
That's great. Looking forward to hearing about that.
It'll come soon. We're not too far away from opening things up, everybody. We're just, trying to finalize our thought process.
Okay, I don't know if there's any, that kind of beats the old business stuff. I think those are the main categories that we're looking at, unless anybody has any other old business that I missed. I did just keep you up to date on some of that. Is Mike asked me if I had a rundown on some things about ownership of units in affordable, and I gave him about a one-page memo, just saying, we had this many units, that units, and broken out in this thing, actions passed, that. So he had something in his hand that he could visually see. So we've done that. Okay. Let's go on to new business. And it came to my mind that under new business, I put bridges. That's the development that's up there. We weren't connected with that, but we understood that there were going to be 6 affordable units in there. Now,
Where is this?
It's
right
on Old
on the-
Barnstable Road,
Old
across from the
Barnstable
high
Road
school.
and 151, right in there. That's a memory care unit more than anything else, I think. But they were going to stick, Cape Cod Commission, I think, forced them to put in some affordable units in there.
Well, there was the formula worked out that it made sense to
Yeah,
put affordable units within the complex.
They didn't like it, but they did.
well, they did that, but you can't count them as affordable housing, I don't think.
Why not?
Well, it has to be deed
I
restricted,
think
I
it's
guess.
short
That's the-
term.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a
What makes you
medical
think they-
facility, huh?
What makes you think that it isn't, can't be considered affordable?
I don't know, just, I don't consider it housing. It's,
Oh, it's not housing.
no, it's a medical treatment
housing, though.
for mentally, Alzheimer's and so on and so forth.
Senior care, is it?
So it's a,
The
rentals.
family isn't gonna live there, just one member of the family is gonna live there. Well, I don't know. You can count
They
it if you
did the
want.
same thing at the atrium in Falmouth. That's the
Or
same
more than a
thing.
long-term rental kind of
That's,
thing.
the atrium's different. That's not just one member of the family, that's a couple.
This doesn't have to be, I don't think, one member of the family
Yes,
either.
yeah,
I don't think so.
well, okay. It's one-
I don't know.
It's one room.
I'll find out.
One room, I believe.
But
Well, anyway, it doesn't matter. Whatever it is,
the
it
question
is.
is it something we count? Is it an affordable rental that we can count as a unit?
I thought the unit had to be deed restricted and.
Rental.
They can
Yeah.
move them from one.
Doesn't
Doesn't
have
have
to-
deed restrictions.
I believe they have to provide, they may have to provide 6.
The unit
but
has to be
it's-
deed restricted, even if it's rental.
It's not identified as this unit is the restricted unit. They have to have 6 at a time, and depends on how long people live and this and the other thing. I don't know, well, it's
But
beyond
that's an interesting
me.
question of whether, I don't know how you work out deed restriction. Is a deed restriction on the company that's building the units, that they have deed restriction?
No, it'd be
6
deed-
units or?
It would be deed restricted, the condition would run with the land that the facility was built on. So, recorded at the Register of Deeds and,
These are all like apartments though.
I'm not sure you can,
Land.
that the specific unit in there will always be the affordable unit. If that person, if the 3 people die, they can, but they only have to provide 2 more, they can put them where it goes in the, I believe they can move them around. They gotta keep 6 available.
well, I think there's probably some flexibility, but it has to be deed restricted, and it has to specify 6 will be held for affordable occupants.
Obviously,
It
we
isn't
don't,
gonna
we
get
don't
us to-
understand.
Right.
It isn't gonna get us
So
to
why don't
10%.
why don't I do this? Why don't I go over to the atrium? And I know the woman over there. She lives over at Stratford Ponds, who's the manager over there. Why don't I go over and I talk to her and ask her what does, when you said affordable down there, what did you mean?
Yeah.
You know,
But again, that's really different, because it'll be
a lot of them are just
the
singles.
same generation. Well, yeah, but there's only one person alive in that.
I don't know that.
Well, let's see what he
Yeah.
comes up with.
Well, beyond me.
Yeah. Don't know. Why don't I check over at the atrium, see what they've done? Maybe I'll check Bridges.
They're probably
They have an
ready for
office
the
right over
first
here.
room over
Yeah,
there.
but it's probably better.
Yeah, check with them, see what it means.
And if they have, if they believe that they have affordable units recognizable under the subsidized housing inventory, they ought to be able to produce the deed restriction recorded in the Register of Deeds, so we could
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah. Well, I'll check with Bridges and see what it means, if anything. Any other new business? Almost that's education and marketing. I was kind of wondering if we shouldn't be talking some with Falmouth and seeing about what they're talking about on affordable stuff in Falmouth and whether there's any kind of educational
You
stuff
saying
going
this,
on.
was it
like-
tribe time?
There's been a
Sorry.
big move on the outer part of the Cape there.
We have isn't there a better title than that one?
About having, they had some sessions out there, it was very good. Matter of fact, our friend Paul was at that session, was part of the panel out there, where they discussed affordable housing. And they were coming up with some things, the needs and what, and how to do it, and all these kind of things. And it was, all those places from Provincetown and down to Brewster and Orleans and all those. We've always talked about trying to do some kind of educational thing here, and we've done one thing on our part, and that was the cluster thing.
Cottage
Housing.
Yeah.
Yeah, cottage housing. But maybe there's something going on in Falmouth, we could partner up being closer to them.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
So maybe I'll try to contact whoever's in charge of that there and see if they are doing anything along that line, or whether we'd like to do something along that line.
Education is always good, and it's one of our important functions.
It's one of our goals in our production plan
Yeah.
that we've been failing at.
Well, we've done some good job.
Yeah, we've done some.
We need more consistency.
Yeah, this was the thing that they had, the Lower Cape Sheriff's idea for about 60 housing advocates and town staff men who attended the forum. It was in Orleans. So that was kind of nice. Now, then that brings us down to,
Tribe time.
I was called on the carpet for labeling it on the agenda, tribe housing.
No, try.
Do we have another name I'd use for that?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
It's all right?
Tribe time, updates, project updates we'll talk about.
Project updates?
Not too many updates. I think we're at a very slow place of finding funding. So the utilities should all be in. We contracted to get those in early this year, early this year. But still having trouble finding the funding. So I believe they're taking the 40B application route. That was the last I heard. But I do expect it to slow down. There's like 3 commissioners that are up for, their seats are up. So we've got to replace them. But they can run again, too. Hopefully they will, because that gives us some consistency throughout the project. So,
So you say it's going to be a 40B?
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe so. That would count towards your inventory. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I believe it's going to be a 40B, but that means that we're looking at possibly 2 rounds of funding before we are chosen. Approximately, I'm suspecting it could be 3 rounds of funding before we're chosen,
right.
so,
Is
Typically
the-
2 or 3
the
these
hope to-
days.
yeah.
Is the hope for the casino and so on involved in slowing down the housing part, or
No.
doesn't it affect it at all?
Well,
if it went forward swimmingly, it would seem to me, and the thing got built and everything.
yeah,
was
I mean, it
going.
would be great if we could just borrow the money from the investors and call it a day, but unfortunately, money is just so expensive
Yeah.
at that type of rate. That I don't think that's feasible. But then, you end up doing maybe a house at a time. And you have Title VI, and Section 184s, different Indian housing programs that we could take advantage of. And then the loans don't become due until you have a tenant in there, so. And we actually have a couple of, I wonder if the Section 184s would be considered part of your inventory. So Section 184 is an Indian program from HUD, and it's a no down payment, first time buyer home ownership program. And we did a trial run on that with 5 units. So the question would be, what we're doing is the tribe would purchase the unit and lease it back to the intended future homeowners, sort of like an option to buy. After they leased it and, everything looked perfect to the bank, then we would turn that unit back to that homeowner. But it is a low-income type of program. I guess the question would be is, would it qualify as an affordable unit?
Is it a home ownership program, basically?
Yes. It's leased initially.
I think it would if the buyer's income is 80% of average median income or less.
And they do have, they have the HUD chart that they go by. So I can find out for you if the people were, met the income guidelines to account toward the inventory or not. And then we can always call HUD as well, just in case they have another spin on it. I have to imagine that somewhere in this country the question's been asked, do Section 184 homes count toward the inventory?
That'd be good.
And the other one you mentioned was Section 6, did you say?
Title 6.
Title 6?
Title 6 is similar to Section 184. Title 6 is a guaranteed loan, which also is what Section 184 is, guaranteed by the government. But when you say guaranteed loan, that can be somewhat misleading to some people. They think they're guaranteed to get the loan. So the Title 6, the main difference is the Section 184 is 100% guaranteed loan. Title 6 is 95% guaranteed. And then if it foreclosed, so the feds are going to pick up 95% of whatever, and then, the 5% would remain.
Is that FHA insurance that they produce?
Not sure of that. Not sure if it is or not. But that's probably something good that we can keep an eye on. At least you'll have a little insight into what units, if we are absorbing any inventory. What you guys know.
Good.
So how many units are you hoping to build again?
When all is said and done, 52.
52.
We also have, there was something I got in the email, I think it was attached to you guys, about the mobile applications, affordable housing mobile applications. Did you send an attachment?
I don't think so.
Mashpee Affordable Housing, it said. I was going to ask you about that.
Mobile homes, you mean?
It just said mobile application.
Oh.
I don't
Yeah.
remember that.
I'll bring a copy in because I was
Copy of that.
totally confused, but it might have been by the Housing Authority. I can check.
That may have come from them, yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering about that as well. But at 52 all in all, but we did get, we have been asked to also consider the purchase of the adjacent land on Meeting House Road. I forget what the acreage is, but it's owned by a tribal family. It's there are a bunch of heirs that want to sell that, which would be great if we could afford to buy that and continue to build in that manner. But not quite sure if we're there yet. And that's Tribe Time. Now we're going to make a little game show out of Tribe Time.
I'm wondering if the mobile would refer not to homes, but to rental,
An app, you think?
no, rental voucher, Section 8 mobile voucher.
Section
That's the other thing I was wondering if it was about
Yeah.
that. I meant to bring it, and I actually left it right in the folder on my desk, but I'll send it out to you guys email. Tell me how
Okay.
you're interpreting that, because I don't know if I should be telling people, hey, they're taking Section 8 applications or rental assistance, But I'm pretty sure it was the Housing Authority now that I think about it.
Yeah, and they would have the mobile vouchers too.
Yeah. What is that? What is a mobile voucher? Is it
It's
Section 8?
Section 8, yeah. So the mobile vouchers.
What's the mobile part?
The
Just that you can
mobile
move?
part means that the tenant has the, I can't say owned, but they have the rights to
right.
the voucher, to the subsidy.
Okay.
And then if the tenant moves, the voucher goes with the tenant. to
Oh,
the
I
new
see, not with the
apartment,
home.
As
Yeah.
opposed to project-based, which stays with the unit.
Okay,
My son has a Section 8. and-
okay,
And he gets a set amount each month that goes towards his rent
right.
in the group home he's in.
Oh, okay.
He could change his group home, that money will travel with him to the other group home.
You got it.
So he doesn't lose that, that's his.
But there
wherever
are
he
some
moves
that
to.
stay with the unit? Is that, no?
Yeah,
Not in that case.
Yeah, that's so-called project-based.
Project-based, okay. Thank you.
Okay, news, we already talked about the Enterprise had the warrant articles in there earlier on, but we'll get those at town meeting. I don't know if it's too much, we really talked about them already. I talked about the Lower Cape session. So that may be, is there any other business to be brought up? Not hearing any. I guess we can schedule a next meeting for May 5th. Same time, same place.
Same time, same place.
Huh?
Yep.
Okay.
Right.
Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
All in favor? Aye.
Right.
So done.
Thank you, gentlemen.